What's up, guys? We're the Farooqi Bros back with another video, and today for you guys, we're doing a quick one. We're going to be talking about Superman Legacy. There was a report from the Hollywood Reporter yesterday talking about where the casting process is at, and basically, while WB doesn't have an official shortlist for the movie yet, there are some names that are being discussed, thrown around. There are some additions that James Gunn has seen for the roles. So there's a bunch of names out there for Superman, for Lois Lane, and we're going to discuss kind of where we're at with these roles. So we've discussed his name a few times if you look on the stream, so it's funny that his name is being brought up in a more official capacity. But I'm going to share my screen right now. And right now, the leading contenders is using Discussing Film as our kind of base point. Shout out to Jacob, who's running that site. We just hit 1 million followers. It's sick. But so David Corenswet, if I hopefully getting his name right, it's the first of many times we're probably going to be saying his name if he ends up being Superman. He is considered among the top contenders to take on the role of Clark Kent in Superman Legacy. If you guys remember, his name has been really put around Superman for a few years now. People are originally considering him to replace Henry Cavill. People had him in fan cast for a number of years. So it looks like he is one of the people who wants to be in James Gunn's movie. Actually, there is a quote from David from like 2 years ago where he said his dream role is Superman. Like if the Superman role came up, this is the role he wants to see. So I'm going to start the topic here. And let's discuss David alone first. There's a lot of names going thrown around, but it seems like he's the top contender for the role. But there are some other big heavy hitters in it. So I'm going to start with actually I'll start with myself since I am the resident Superman fan. I even got the mug to prove it. But so for David, I mean, what I'll say is this. When you're coming off of an interpretation, which I consider my favorite live action interpretation of Superman yet, which is the Henry Cavill version, you're going to come in with the sense of like, well, this is not what I know. And because it's not what I know, I'm going to be like a little more critical of it. But when I watch some of his interviews, and I know, Umar, you probably agree with me on this one, at least on some of his voice part, I think out of all the contenders, his voice does somewhat, I think he can match with Superman. Obviously, he definitely needs to put some weight on. He definitely needs to become Superman from a body perspective. But from a purely facial perspective, he kind of looks like a young Henry Cavill. I can kind of see it in the role. I'm not sure he's like an incredible actor or anything. A lot of his roles are kind of hit and miss. Though, as we know, historically, Superman actors tend to be more on the unknown side of things. So this is what we're seeing. I'm okay with this, actually. If it ends up being true, I think there's some kind of I see the upside, especially if he's going to stay Superman for 10, 15 years straight for the new DCU, then potentially he'll be growing into the role, similar to how Tom Holland grew to the role since he jumped in from Homecoming. So that's my quick thoughts. Zion, I'm going to jump to you next. What did you think about potentially David Corenswet as Superman?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. I mean, I'm not obviously personally familiar with, I don't think, any of his works, but I think look-wise, he definitely has like the classic look. They're going for the blue eyes, which is like the typical Superman thing. And he has like the facial structure and the jaw and like everything you typically expect from like a facial Superman, like what you'd want to see. Like you said, I guess he might have to beef up a little bit just to like fit the suit better and just be a little more muscular. But I'm sure that's not a problem. I mean, honestly, they could also go with the more leaner Superman as a younger Superman. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go either direction. I really don't have any more initial thoughts because I don't really know his work too much. So I can't speak on how good or bad he might be as an actor. But I think just look-wise, he fits the part. And like you said, with the Tom Holland thing and casting young, I think that is smart. And so you can just like ride them out for longer. And if they're really planning to build something good and something long-term, like starting young is good too. So I think he fits all those check boxes. And I guess we'll see from there.
Umar, I know you're a little under the weather right now, so we appreciate you jumping on board. You are, I would say, the second biggest Superman fan from the panel. So what do you make of this? Like, what do you think of potentially David as Superman?
I think it's like you said. I mean, we're coming off a different type of interpretation. I feel like going into this next one, we wouldn't want to you wouldn't want to expect from this Superman what we were already expecting from the last one. You know what I mean? Because it's a different take. It will be a very, very different take from what we can tell. And I think this guy looks the part. His voice also, compared to all the other people that they're saying, I think his voice also fits the role kind of, and I think naturally when he gets older and whatnot. I mean, he's 29, I think, or 29 or 30. Which I mean, they kept saying that they wanted a younger Superman. I think Henry Cavill also started at 30, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Right? He was 30 as well at
He did,
when
yeah.
he became Superman. So I guess they're not going for super young. So this guy will still start off his Superman career or whatever at the same time. I guess he's gonna be 2 years in or something, like into him already being Superman. I feel like they're
Yeah,
because that's what the report said,
they're
right?
going to use a lot of the things that work with the Batman. They're going to use some of that, like where it's not an origin story, but it's still a young version of the character, etc.
Okay.
They're going for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he'll be good for the role, to be honest. Like Superman is not really like if you can look the part, then everything else just has to fit in terms of like the direction and all that stuff. And I feel like that actually I don't get too into it, but obviously like James Gunn writing this thing and all that stuff. Like of course everyone has their opinions. I think after Guardians, everyone's like, oh, you might do well. I personally think the movie won't be that great because I don't believe in like the written aspect of it. So I feel like even if he's a very good Superman, he's gonna have kind of a similar problem out the gate that previous Superman have had, which is he might actually be good, but there might be some backlash, and that's gonna hurt his uh like his performance might not be. And he's also coming off like Henry Cavill, say what you want about the movies, but people like Henry Cavill. Like they wanted more. They liked what he did. They felt like he was held back, right? So um again, like you're following someone that's already beloved to the fans. So like, you gotta be ready for the backlash, you know. So let's see what happens. I feel like he's from a very basic standpoint of like what we're seeing. I feel like he'd be good for the role.
Yeah, so I mean, and I'm gonna go to some of the comments now, but I agree with you. Like half of it is the writing and the directing, so it's gonna be interesting to see kind of where they kind of move forward with it. Samir, I want to jump to you next, actually, before I go to the comments. What do you think about this casting? Because I feel like of the four of us, I think you were the most ready for the next version of Superman to show up. But then again, it's not the best kind of, maybe not the best director, maybe not the best writer for this movie. But now we're looking at casting. What are you seeing as the next Superman?
As far as pulling off the role goes, I think he can do it. I'm not familiar with his work, obviously, but you don't really need the acting chops for Superman. I don't expect like an Academy Award winning performance for Superman. So for the look, I think he's good. He obviously needs to put on some more weight, but I mean, Henry Cavill's test screening, he was like skin and bones or whatever when he put on the suit first. So I think he'll be fine. Looks good.
No, that's a great point. Henry Cavill, but people, yeah, and you know what's so funny? You're reminding me this was 2 days ago, not 2 days ago, yesterday when the news broke. The first thing I did was actually I started looking at articles from 2011, 2010 when Superman's casting was announced for Henry Cavill. And I was looking at what pictures were they using for Superman. And at the time, he was very slimmed down. He put on a lot of weight to take on Superman and for Man of Steel. And I feel like the same thing. Like this guy, if he's getting cast now and they want to start shooting January, that's not a lot of time, but it could be enough time to at least put the muscle on. Not a lot, but enough to just play Superman in the beginning. And then the older he gets, he can be more and more like.
I think they're gonna use the suit to like. They're gonna use an undersuit to like make him look bigger.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
If he can't put on the weight, if he can, and he can, 12 months is enough to put on some weight. So
yeah, and then they might also not want to go the direction of an extremely kind of like hulking Superman because Christopher Reeve was built, but he was pretty thin as Superman, and you can make a case that Brandon Routh is pretty thin as well. So it kind of depends on what they're going to go with. I'm going to go to Fatima's comments. She's saying that I know it just sounds like Christopher Reeve fans, but given her stance normally, but she still can't get over Henry Cavill being Superman because he really embodied him, and she's still raw about how he got removed, which is obviously we know from Black Adam. He got given the green light from WB to announce his return, only to be yanked 1 second later. I, in my opinion, if the box office would have saved him, if Black Adam did well, I think they would have thought about keeping him as a spin-off in the Black Adam universe. But unfortunately, that movie did quite poorly. But and then we have another comment coming in saying that Henry was 30 when Man of Steel came out. So he was still in his 20s when filming was underway. If David gets the role, I think he'll do fine. It really comes down to James Gunn's handling of the film. This is very similar to what Umar said, so yeah, it makes sense. And Fatima adds that the physique doesn't really matter because with steroids and trainings, they'll have them sorted in no time. And same thing, 6 months with the juice and whatever, it'll be fine. So yeah, they'll get him up to standards, with intensive training. So all agreed there. And we'll get back to Superman, but I want to keep moving quickly because there are a couple of more roles because obviously, if you have a Superman, you also need a Lois, and there's a bunch of names being considered for Lois Lane. It's not as much of a 2 to 3 man race like it is for Superman, where they kind of have who they have in mind. For Lois, to keeping it much more broader, they have a bunch of names. I'm not familiar with all these names, but we can at least look at it from a look perspective. So a little quicker around this time, but like we have names like Emma Mackey, Rachel Brosnahan, Phoebe Dynevor. I'm killing these names. I'm killing them. I'm killing these names, bro. And Samara Weaving. I think that one I got right.
Was it Phoebe?
PB. It's Sunday. My brain is not on work mode. All right. Or on the mix for Superman Legacy.
Well, I feel like out of the 4 of these, of course, Jan's gonna keep laughing.
Yo, he said Emma Mackey. Yo, he's just off today.
I will tell which one works for Lois, bro.
Um,
Let's see if we can open these up.
Her name, so Phoebe. It's
Phoebe's
the bottom,
one, right?
Yeah. She would actually, like, I've seen her in a few things. I've seen her in this show called Bridgerton.
Oh yeah, she's from that show. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a very good actor, man. So if they were to get her to be Lois, that would actually work, kind of, in a lot of ways. Because she's she's good. I've seen her stuff. She's really good. Out of the, I don't know, like I don't even know the other.
Marvelous Miss Maisel, right?
Yeah.
And then this one.
She shouldn't be anywhere near the role. Like she should not be anywhere near the role.
This one is the Margot Robbie one though. That said, like she plays kind of like her clone, and I don't know where she's from. What am I getting wrong? Is
bro? If they go with the top left, they're just trying to make her like freaking the older actress that played.
Yeah, Margaret Kidder. Yeah,
it's tripping.
What?
No, see, here's the thing. Even with these, like, I'm sure they all like can do well in the acting chops, but it doesn't seem like an inspired casting really. Like they had a very good opportunity to kind of go a different way with Lois Lane, make her maybe diverse in some way or another. And I think they're kind of dropping the ball in that sense. We're going like, yeah, another typical white Lois Lane. They had an opportunity and they're obviously not going for it. So I'm sure any of these actresses, they can have the chops. So then really it's really about the look. What look do they want to pair with Clark? And then it's like, then I'm sure it'll work out. But I think they had an opportunity to go diverse, and they're choosing to go the more simple, typical, uninspired route.
I really don't care. As long as the actress is really good, who cares?
The person who I wanted from Lois, like her name, there's someone who I had in mind. She was like in Matrix 4. I forgot her name, but I kind of wanted her as Lois, but I guess she's not. They're not considering in that direction. Couple of comments. Look, these names have been fighting for my life right now, so I'm not even gonna try to keep doing them. But we'll go through some comments that I'll just go first names that might just be me, but Samara and Emma look quite similar to Margot Robbie. And if Margot Robbie's still playing Harley Quinn, it might be a bit weird. If I was gonna be a guessing man, I don't think Margot Robbie's still playing Harley Quinn. I think they're gonna go in a brand new direction. Not Lady Gaga either. Obviously, they're all gonna be kind of redone. And I'm familiar with 3 out of the 4. Samara would be cool to see as Lois. And they can't say much. It depends what this goes. But all I know is that from my understanding, they're taking a lot more time with Lois in terms of there's a lot more auditions, and they want to see what's the right fit. And obviously, chemistry matters too. Once they find a Superman, they might have some screen testing with Lois to see which one has a good fit. I think similar to how they did with Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz, right, for Batman and Catwoman. So here's where it gets a little controversial. So I'm going to keep moving forward. So first, Nicholas Hoult's name in the THR report was being discussed for Lex Luthor, right? Wait a minute. Did I get Samir's opinion on Lois? Samir, what's your opinion on Lois? Yeah.
I don't really know. I don't know any of them from.
What about the
anybody.
face? The face
Um,
card.
Yeah, they all look alright. I don't know. I don't know.
You have no opinion on the
I have
Lois
no
face?
opinion. I have no opinion.
No
I have no
opinion.
one in
All right.
mind.
Well, then you'll be the first one to give your opinion on this. Now, this
Okay.
has been somewhat debunked, but before we keep moving, do you think Nicholas Hoult would have been a good Lex? I'll let you go first, Samir.
Me? Is this the guy? Do I know this guy? Is he
He's
from?
in the menu.
He's from the menu, right?
He's
He looks so
Beast.
different.
He's
in
Beast, the new X-Men. He's
He was in
He's
from
in
the
that
menu.
new-
You know.
He's in the new Dracula movie, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
he was in the Dracula movie. Yeah,
He looks so
He's-
different in this picture. I feel like he could pull it off. I don't know. But he's kind of too young. I expect Lex Luthor to be much older.
remember,
as far as-
both BVS and Smallville, like the Zack Snyder universe and the Smallville universe, all went with the Lex that was like same age as Superman or like in that same world, like same age group. So maybe they want to keep him in the same.
This guy
age.
would be a good Harry Osborn.
Yeah, but Jesse Eisenberg was just Jesse Eisenberg in the movie. This guy, I think he could pull off the acting much better.
Well, remember, Nicholas Hoult was in the runner-up for Batman. He was literally the second choice. Like they were literally neck and neck.
Bro, let me tell you something. If this guy became the Batman, I would quit life.
This guy's no
He's
jaw.
a good actor.
No, yeah,
He's a good actor,
exactly.
yeah.
He doesn't have the jaw for Batman either.
That's true. The jaw is the big difference. Yeah, but I don't think. And this is we're talking about the jaw because we'll get to him in a minute. But
Just make him
Turns
Jimmy
out-
Olsen, bro. He has a good face.
yeah,
for Jimmy
it turns out that actually there was a another report from Deadline, and now I'm going to press where they said no, Nicholas Hoult is not in the mix for Lex Luthor. He's really right up there for Superman. So this was a bit of a like everyone had to rethink right away. They're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Is he Superman? So now let's talk a new conversation. Now you said it's that he doesn't have the jaw for Batman. Well, does he have a jaw? Can he play Superman?
He does not. I don't think he has the face for Superman. He doesn't have the jaw for Superman. I think he could work as a Lex. I don't know. I would be surprised.
He's a much
I was
better
shocked
actor
if
than
they
David.
chose him for Superman.
From
And
an
he's
acting
also much more lean. So then that could also play into the Lex Luthor angle where he's physically feels, even though he has all the power in the world, in a human sense, he physically is also nothing compared to Superman. So I think body type, face, everything, he could play Lex, but I don't think he fits as Superman.
Samir, what about you? What do you think about potentially Nicholas Hoult as Superman?
Yeah, I don't think he has the look, which is like the main thing. I know he can act, but you don't really go for acting with Superman. Again, you don't expect like an Academy Award-winning performance for Superman. I don't think he could pull off the look, so I wouldn't want him to be Superman. But Lex Luthor would be good for him.
Yeah. I'm gonna quickly run through the comments and back to Lois. I mean, Fatma says that she's familiar with all four, but she'll go with where it feels most. She's thinking Emma might be the front runner. And then back to Nicholas Hoult. We got one comment saying that they like Nicholas Hoult in basically everything. Alec, happy you're joining in. He'd be a great Flash. That's funny. I think with everyone saying how good the Flash is gonna be, I don't know, maybe they're gonna keep Ezra Miller. Probably not. But he could be like a good Green Lantern, like anyone really. I'll put him in anyone else. Like I know he's like missing out on Batman was a big thing for him, but I'm not sure he's Superman. But I do think if he doesn't get Superman, I would love for them to offer him Lex to be like take on Lex and just go crazy with it and see what you can do. And Fatma also adds that Holt is a great actor for other roles, but not for Superman and Batman, he's too quirky. We have a random person saying Adam Driver as Batman. I mean, for what? For Brave and the Bold? Like, what are we talking about? Like, and I'm not sure he can play Batman. Let's call it what it is. But I just want to see the dude's Batman screen test because clearly they saw something in it. That's true. We don't know what Matt Reeves saw in this guy to be like, whoa, I'm actually going to consider it. Umar, did I get your opinion on Nicholas Hoult as Superman? What did you think about this?
No, I don't
you
want
don't
to
see
see
it.
it at all. I don't even see him as Lex. I think he's good for like Jimmy Olsen or something. But
No, I think that's
His acting, he's too good of an actor in terms of his chops to play.
yo, look, yeah,
Sub-tier
you have to
role
look the
again.
part. That's it.
You could play
Have to
Metallo,
look the
like
part.
he's a villain, but
Yeah,
he
look the
could
part,
pull off
that's it.
Nightwing.
Nightwing,
He could
too
pull
old
off
for
Nightwing,
Nightwing.
yeah.
Too old for Nightwing.
That's
though.
Oh, he'd be a good Nightwing.
No, but if Batman's so old and Damian Wayne is in this universe, which is already garbage enough, don't me start on that,
That's so garbage.
then he can play Nightwing, you know?
I guess, yeah, I forgot Batman's gonna be old. In this
Yeah,
movie.
it's gonna be an ancient Batman and young
All
Superman.
the complaints about Batman
combination.
after
I hate
he's old,
ancient
but
Batman.
they're still going with old Batman. Like what? Better than Michael Keaton, but still. And then again, here's just more looks at two versions of Lois, so you can see how they're gonna fit.
Just
And then-
stop. Just stop.
And then where's the Jacob guy? Oh yeah, here's the go. So here's another Superman choice that they were discussing it, but he never submitted an audition. This was a big fan rumor. I personally, I'll go out on a limb. I really didn't see this one. He's from Euphoria, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see Jacob Elordi as Superman at all. So I hope not. And then Tom Brittney and Andrew Richardson, I Googled them. I'm not familiar with their work, and I don't think either of them have a Superman face, so I don't see it. I got to be honest. So we keep coming back to the same guy. We're coming back to David Corenswet. I think like he at least has the look, and he has kind of like that Superman kind of like relaxedness to him, and then there's that voice which does like Fatima mentioned, we all mentioned, like with Nicholas Hoult, he has a quirky voice. Like I don't think you have to have a deep bass in your voice for Superman, in my opinion. Not that he can't pull it off, but that's what I'm thinking. And then all the actors, top to bottom, we have all these people who are like in somewhere or another in the Superman mix. So it's gonna be very interesting to see. So James Gunn, last comment before we kind of head out of here. James Gunn has responded to the rumors, and he's saying, "Hey, there's been no casting yet. I'm still kind of leaving the Guardians 3 press stuff. I'm still working on it." He said only one person's been cast in the role so far, and it isn't any of the regular players, which means I'm guessing it's probably going to be like maybe his wife or his brother or something. But like I don't know if like he hasn't gone to one of the major castings yet. Obviously, so his cast though.
I don't understand one thing. Because his wife and that whole other Suicide Squad and Garbage era, that it's all going to be replaced. So now she can be cast a new actress, a new character in DC.
Yeah, it's be a new universe now. Yeah. She's not going to play the agent like the.
Yeah, that's all done.
Yeah. So
saying Batista is Lex. That's what you're saying.
Okay, so yeah, and that's the other rumor I was going to bring up right now. Thanks for reminding me. He said they asked one person in the Guardians cast. I don't have to share my screen anymore. They asked one person in the Guardians cast to play Lex Luthor, but apparently the conversation didn't go anywhere. So that means whoever they were thinking in the Guardians 3 cast to play Lex, they didn't ultimately get there. But the question is who? So like, I could have seen Batista play him. Not gonna lie.
Imagine if some like
it could.
Sylvester Stallone playing Lex Luthor.
It's Vin Diesel, bro.
It doesn't have to be the main cast.
Vin Diesel Lex. Who plays Rocket?
Bradley Cooper.
Bradley
He could play Lex.
Yeah, I was saying that's the Bradley Cooper could play.
He
Lex.
could play Lex.
Yeah,
dude,
so
David would
He'd be a good.
What are you saying, Omar?
I said he would be a good Lex. Batista would be a good Lex. Imagine Batista bombing Superman, bro. You saying?
What about Vin Diesel, bro?
Yo, listen again. These are things. No one should really say out loud.
He has 3 Fast and Furious movies coming out now. Like it's over for him. He's locked down.
Oh, yeah. and then Dwayne the Rock Johnson is returning to Fast and Furious after like the whole beef between him and Diesel, which is hilarious because like
he died twice already.
Listen, in his quest to change the hierarchy of power in the DC universe, he went back to Fast and Furious. That's what Black Adam did to him, bro. That's not right.
Black Adam is the worst movie ever made, probably.
Yeah, I've seen Shazam 2. Trust me, it's not. You know.
What if the Flash turns out to be really, really good and like makes a bunch of money, and then these movies start failing? What happens then? Yeah.
No, so Flash very well. The Flash is very well. The only thing they're gonna do is they're gonna like keep Ezra and have him show up in the new universe because now he's proven in his movie he can multiverse travel. And that's the only thing they'll do. They'll just keep Ezra, and they'll only do that, in my opinion, if this movie's like $1 billion hit. If it goes crazy and it makes $1 billion, then they can't say no to it. They're gonna be like, okay, let's do it, and let's bring Flash into the new universe. Any other way, like if it has a 90% Rotten Tomatoes score but only makes like 400 million, they're not keeping anyone. Like that's how I'm seeing it.
Since they're starting a new universe, they should do the right thing and leave Barry Allen and just go with Wally West. It's the right thing to do.
They could do that too, but they want to start. They kind of rebooting, so like, why would they was have a different?
Yeah, they're rebooting, but Bruce Wayne's an old guy. It doesn't make sense. Oh, that's an out of his prime.
No, it's like so this is the next Superman thing. So from a cast perspective, Superman Legacy will have multiple DC characters, not just Superman characters, because they want to show that the universe is already established. So it won't be like Man of Steel, where Superman was the first quote unquote meta, which obviously they kind of rewrote because Wonder Woman and everything. But Superman was the first superhero to show up in the DC universe, and then everyone else was kind of showing up after him. This version of the universe, they want to go with that. Everyone's already there, and Superman kind of walks into an established DC universe as a newcomer almost. So there's a different approach. So in hindsight, that was kind of Zack's push too. Batman was established for 20 years. Wonder Woman was there, just hiding. but whatever. So we'll see more DC heroes than we normally do. I'll go through the comments and we'll kind of head out of here. Jacob seems like a nice guy, but he's not a good fit. I agree with that. I'd rather have Nicholas Hoult than Elordi. I also agree with that. And then what else we got? I'm not a big fan of any of these choices, to be honest. I think Alec, a lot of people who are in that same mindset. I think with kind of especially with the way we lost Henry Cavill Superman is really annoying still. Yep, there you go. So, what do you guys think about the new Superman casting? Which casting is making sense to you for Superman, Lois, Lex, whatever? Let us know in the comments below and join the debate. From myself, from Zayan, from Umar, and from Samir, we're the Farooqi Bros, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.